It's a big one. It's actually an historic meeting, I think, as Van Buren's going to transition to its first full-time fire department, or part full-time fire department. The board met yesterday for over 2 hours on most of the issues that we're dealing with today. The ones that we were absolutely together with are on our consent agenda. They'll be voted on together in 1 minute, and they include approval of meeting minutes, schedules, fees for different departments, reappointment of the Environmental Commission consisting of David Brownlee, the chairman, Tony Gibson, who's came here today. Thank you, Tony. Norm DeBuck, who's also served. In addition, a new member is being voted into the Environmental Committee, and that's Peter Creole. Peter is a passionate environmentalist and recently formed a town hall type meeting at the BYC on phosphate and phosphorus in Belleville Lake. A couple hundred people attended, I believe. We welcome these 4 gentlemen. We all thank you for your service to Van Buren Township and the Environmental Commission. Updates to some of our director and employee policies will also be voted on. One of those, importantly, will end full retiree medical benefits for new employees hired after September 1st. It will replace this with a retiree medical savings plan. And finally, we are adjusting the language in our firefighter union contract to allow for the hiring of 6 new full-time firefighters. Now, this is big news. Following the consent agenda, we will present the new part-time, full-time fire proposal. After, each board member will have 2 minutes to comment, which will be followed up with the clerk Wright, swearing in our new 6 full-time firefighters. After this, we will have a public hearing on our budget, on the Van Buren 2020 budget. A public hearing has been posted throughout in the newspapers. The public hearing for the budget is a time for the public to speak on the budget, not the board. Items in our new business will include purchasing a Chevy Tahoe for the fire department, setting our water and sewer fees for the upcoming year, hiring 2 communication specialists, which are here for our new communications department, renovating the interior of the Belleville Area Museum. We're going to begin fixing up French Landing Park with about $120,000 in grant money. We're going to begin today with clearing some trees, weeds, and brush contracts. We're going to have a first reading to modify a zoning ordinance for the lakefront, which will allow some unusually shaped parcels to be developed on the lake. And we'll be voting an exception to the state's requirement to charge employees 20% for health care. And finally, we'll be purchasing a new digital sign for Van Buren Township Hall. That's all. That's enough. Okay. Next item, adoption of the revised agenda. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Trustee Martin?
I make a motion that we adopt the revised agenda as presented.
Okay. Trustee, you guys, Bud, okay. All right, I got Martin, all right, I've got a motion for approval by Trustee Martin, support by Treasurer Bud to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next item is adoption of the consent agenda, which is adopted by this week's turn is Trustee Miller. Please read the entire consent agenda.
The adoption of the consent agenda includes board meeting minutes of September 3rd, special board meeting minutes of September 23rd, closed session minutes of September 23rd, prepaid list of September 5th, prepaid list of September 12th, prepaid list of September 19th, prepaid list of September 26th, voucher list of September 17th, voucher list of October 1st, approval of the 2020 holiday schedule, approval of the 2020 Board of Trustees meeting schedule, approval of the resolution 2019-20, the 2020 department fee schedules. 13 is approval of the reappointment of the appointment of Peter Creel to the Environmental Commission with a term to expire 10/1/2020. Approval of the reappointment of Tony Gibson to the Environmental Commission with a term to expire 10/1/2020. 15, approval of the reappointment of David Brownlee to the Environmental Commission with a term to expire 10/1/2022. 16, approval of the reappointment of Norm DeBuck to the Environmental Commission with a term to expire 10/1/2022. 17, approval of the update to Section 3.01, eligibility of benefits and policies and procedures manual. 18, approval of the update in the salaried employees manual with language to reflect the retiree benefits change effective September 1, 2019 to receive health care. Now, hang on 1 minute. We're striking 18, correct?
Striking
All right.
18.
19, approval of the update language to hire full-time firefighters in the MAF contract. Approval of the updates to MAF, POLC Patrol and Dispatch, and POLC Command. Contracts to reflect the retiree benefits change effective September 1, 2019. For new hires, anyone hired prior to September 1st, 2019 will not be affected by these changes.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Miller. Can I have support?
Support.
Support by treasurer Bud. Okay, consent agenda, I have motion for support, a motion, and I have support. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. This motion passes. Before we begin our next series, because we've just now approved the township to hire 6 full-time firefighters, we've approved the finances to properly make it happen. I want Tony Gibson to come up. Tony Gibson has long served us in the Environmental Commission. It's a great group of people, and we'd like to just have you come up and shake our hands and sit, so we can say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really good of you to come up. Thanks, great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Tony, we're going to be going through a little bit, okay, we're all set. Okay, next item is a presentation. I'm going to start by doing a reading. I'd like if the chief would come up, and the Director of Public Safety, Mr. Director Lorraine. I've written out a presentation, a short one. Dear colleagues, and after we do this, you guys can make a little presentation, and then the board's going to each get 2 minutes to make comment on this historic, if you want to. Yes. Dear colleagues and residents, today we are preparing to move the township into the next phase of growth in the area of public safety. The proposal today raises the level of security for our residents in the areas of fire safety and quickens our ability to respond to our residents' medical emergencies. We are looking at hiring 6 full-time firefighters. Over the last 4 years, our part-time firefighting and medical response force has dwindled. This is not due to us, it's due to national unemployment. The country has experienced a shortage of firefighters entering the fire service trades. It is becoming increasingly difficult to get firefighters to come work as part-timers. And when we do get a part-timer, they increasingly are finding full-time jobs in short order with other fire departments. This leaves us with yet another shift that needs to be manned by others. This has caused us to be extremely dependent on overworked part-timers who are making time and a half, and has forced a reliance on blended rate officers. The overall proposal is to augment our 100% part-time firefighting force by hiring 6 full-time firefighters. The rest of our force will be filled in and maintained in the manner it has been maintained up until now. This proposal has been a year in the making. It has been extensively discussed in administration meetings and in the board's budget hearings. The current budget reflects these numbers for moving forward with the 6 full-time hires. These numbers have been prepared by the fire chief and reviewed by the finance group. And then we hired Plant Moran to review those numbers. Plant Moran maintains that the numbers appear fiscally correct and the logic toward their development is sound. They did, however, say this would cause a large problem with our OPEB, which is our retiree medical position on our balance sheets. We have held off on this move to full-time, to hiring the 6 full-timers, until such time that the township removed retiree medical going forward for all its new employees. We've replaced it with retiree health care savings plans that were approved by the board today, a minute ago, during the consent vote. This proposal will increase our capability to respond to our residents' medical and fire emergencies. These new hires will be hired without lifetime retiree medical benefits and should reduce some existing costs within our system. This proposal should reduce some overtime expenses by current firefighters. The board is in agreement. This will both increase resident service levels while maintaining a frugal overall budget. The township is done with the rebuilding of the fire department. Equipment and facilities have been redone. In addition, for the last 3 or 4 years, the township has banked into a fire capital fund $100,000 each year. This fund is designed to eliminate future big-ticket fire expenses that pose a great difficulty for the general tax fund. It made it difficult to afford these things. This will allow us to purchase big-ticket items for fire through a savings account that we are building up. With this final action of hiring these 6 employees, this department, fire department, should be sustainable in finance, in manpower, equipment, and in facilities well into the future. Thank you. Would you like to say some words, and then we could ask the board?
I think you said a lot, Mr. Supervisor. That being, what an exciting time for public safety, specifically the fire department tonight. That I'm here as the director, and we had the fire chief and the board, we can actually say these are, like you said, that this is the first full-time group of firefighters we'll be hiring. We'll be moving into a hybrid full-time, part-time system staff department with promotions of these 6 full-time firefighters this evening. This much-needed move is a significant change from how we have traditionally staffed our fire stations in the past, and will be bringing added staffing stability to the department in the future. In part, this change was needed due to the constant difficulty in recruiting qualified candidates and the inability to retain paid-on-call personnel who eventually leave for a full-time employment elsewhere. As our department continues to evolve, this move was essential in providing better control on staffing of our fire stations, retaining quality trained personnel while continually providing the best service and response to our community. I want to thank our negotiation team, the Michigan Association of Firefighters Union, the township board members, and the Chief Brow and her staff for all the collaborative efforts during this process. Finally, I would like to acknowledge and congratulate the soon-to-be sworn-in full-time firefighters of our department. We're going to have the full-time firefighters to be come on up here, please.
Clerk Wright, would you like to swear in the firefighters, and then we can go around the board and see what the board has to say?
Clerk, do you want to face the audience, or so that we get some Kodak moments?
That's, yeah. If the board wants to stand up, we can stand behind this group and get into the picture. I mean, right back here, you can stand back here, and you'll be over their heads, okay?
We're photo bombing.
We're photobombing, of course we are.
Gentlemen, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. I support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Michigan. Faithfully perform the duties of full-time firefighter in and for the Charter Township of Van Buren, County of Wayne, State of Michigan, best of my ability. So help me God.
You guys want to go down there?
We should get a picture.
What's that? Dan, could you get a shot this way so you can get us into it too? No. Over there, we're, over there in the middle aisle, shooting this way, high enough.
Back them up. Let's back them up.
Okay, yeah, firefighters, could you guys all back up to this? Slide this on.
And the other one's over there too.
There we go, this works.
Director Rain, all of you should be in this picture. Come on.
That's great. Cheese.
Go ahead, Amy.
Jason?
Fine, Jason.
Look at you guys.
All right.
Yay.
Guys are all set. Trustee Miller, Sherry, treasurer, did my best.
Thank you. As we said before, thank you. We expect you to
Thank you.
protect us.
Thank you.
I love you right now.
Hope you have a successful career here. And we want you to stay.
Thank you.
No leaving us.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job.
Good to see you. Glad you made it.
Glad to
I got you
you.
guys already, bro. You good. Congratulations. Good job. Thank you. All right.
deserved.
Congratulations again, man. Appreciate it. All right.
You've been here forever. Well deserved. Well deserved.
I'm gonna, which side, who would like to start?
How about if you go for the board?
I just did.
I have a comment I would like to make.
Okay, Treasurer Bud.
When I started here, we had a part-time police department. Our reserves were paid $1 a year so they could get their Malazzi training and carry a gun for the department. And then we finally went to hourly, so they got paid for the hours they worked. And then along came and we made that historical move, and we had a full-time police department, of which Greg was a part of. So it is with great honor that I sit here and now see that we now have a full-time fire department. And I'm so pleased that we have both these organizations to protect the residents of Van Buren Township. And I might also say that when Amy started here, she was a volunteer firefighter too. So to see this department grow, it just fills me with a whole lot of pride. Thank you very much.
It's wonderful. Maybe, Trustee Miller?
This is a historical moment. I think this is a good start to begin with, and hopefully we can add in the future. So I'm just glad that we've come to this point, that we all worked hard together to make this happen, so I'll leave
Trustee
to.
Oh, very good. Nice. Trustee Frazier.
I'd just like to say public safety is priority one, and we have a great police and fire department already, but I've worked for 3 years of my term, and when the chief got hired, I spoke to her and said, we need full-time, make that happen, and she did.
Because of Sherry.
So I think it's a great advantage to our residents, their safety. They can get better service, and not better service, but quicker service. And we need to move, we should have moved in that direction for a while. And I'm glad it's happening today. This is a historic moment for the township. And I hope our residents appreciate the new firefighters that are on board. We thank you.
That's quick. Just real quick. I guess there's 3 things that I hear when anyone moving to a township or city or wherever. 3 things they ask: is the community safe? What kind of schools you have? And how much are the taxes? So our taxes are low. We have a safe community, and this is a part of just making it safer. This has been something that the treasurer and myself, as negotiating, we've gone around and around in previous boards, talking about this for years. This is my 11th year on the board. Don't seem like I know I don't look that old, but it's my 11th year on the board, and it's something that's been talked about with previous directors, previous chiefs, and it's just nice to see that it finally happened. It's time to show that we're a community that's growing in the right direction. It's a great thing.
Trustee Martin?
I am kind of speechless right now. When I was first elected, this is one of the things that I wanted to see in Van Buren Township was a full-time fire department. And now that day has finally come. This ensures that we have guaranteed coverage 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to protect our homes, property, and businesses in Van Buren Township. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We have state-of-the-art full-time and fully well-trained firefighters, and I think this is a good day for the township. I think this moves us forward. This makes us a better community, and we will be better for it. And I'm proud of the board, and I'm proud to be part of this board that have made this historic moment come true.
Trustee White?
I've lived in this community for almost 60 years, and it has advanced tremendously in that period of time. We had two very small fire stations when I first lived here, and it has gradually become even better with two state-of-the-art fire stations now, one on the south side, one on the north side. As we advance, then we need to do what is necessary to protect our residents, our citizens, and our communities surrounding us if and when they need help. But this is a great advancement. It will be a tremendous benefit to our 30,000 residents. And I too am fully supportive of our public safety department, police, fire, ordinance, and the whole shebang. And I want to thank Chief Brow for working hard to achieve this. Also, our Chief Jason Wright, and also our Director Greg Lorraine. The three of these highly knowledgeable and educated employees have worked hard to make sure that this happens. The Public Safety Department is my number one priority, and it's the board's number one priority, and we should make sure, beyond any other expenditures that we have, to make sure that we provide our residents and citizens, visitors, people passing through with the highest quality of public safety department care in the fire department and police department that is possible for us. I commend all three of our public safety officials, commend all of the officers, all the employees in the police department, dispatch, and also all the firefighters there. So this is a huge moment in the history of our township, and it's something that I am really happy to see. And, you know, I was a very young man when I came to the community. Now I'm the oldest person on the board, so you can know that I'm thrilled. And we've had the opportunity to use public safety a couple of times, and our experience has been top-notch. We have a A1 department now, 5-star, I think, considering our community, the tax monies that we spend, and I am very pleased to see this moment happen. Thank you, officers, firefighters.
I guess I'm about the only one that was dragged down this road kicking and screaming, no, 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 no. So Chief Brow's shaking her head, and Director Lorraine. We had one of the most cost-effective fire departments in the country. We hired Amy Brow, our new chief, because she was one of the finest trainers we've ever met. She had these incredible credentials. We then set out to try and build the most professional part-time fire force in the area. We bought them all new trucks. We bought them new ladder trucks, new turnout gear. We upgraded the facilities. We rebuilt their electrical. We rebuilt everything. We made it into a place to come, and people did come. The problem was, they became so good that everybody wanted them, and they all went because that's what career people do. They get the best. They go to the best place to get the best training, and then they go get jobs. We've worked on this for over a year. Chief Brown, Director Lorraine, showed me basically how they could probably do this. We found every single problem that could possibly happen, and we think we fixed them, from retiree medical care to wordings and languages to the bump rates on shifts. We've gone over this 10 ways to Sunday. As a result, I'm speaking now to the residents. Our budget shows a flat line in the fire department based on hiring 6 full-time firefighters. This board methodically did its work for the last few months, created the framework to allow these 6 full-timers to come on and still keep this department as one of the most effective departments from a financial standpoint. We're very proud of it. We think because we fixed it all up, it's going to last. We've created a savings account for when she does need a new, or the department needs a new ladder truck or a new fire truck. They're not going to have to go take that year's tax roll to pay for it. There will be a savings account that this board has built up, and we've maintained it. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it in operation. So thank you very much for putting up with me for 3 years. In fact, one of the jokes was when we were interviewing Amy, I said, Amy, about the only thing you could do to get yourself fired here is to say the word full-time fire.
There you go.
So, but I'm along now. We had a lot of fixing to do. It's fixed, and I'm really, really happy we could. How many of our firefighters are from Van Buren? Yeah, okay. Quite a few. That's a lot. 4, all right, 4 to 6. Very much, thank you very much. We thank you so much because we expect you to save our lives someday. So, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. Me too. We're going to move along with the agenda, but I'm going to take a minute to let you guys escape. And I suggest you do that because I think we've got 2 more hours to go.
So we're taking a commercial break?
Yeah, take a 60-second break here.
Get out while you can.
We'll Charter Township of Van Buren we'll be going through an election for the Van Buren public schools to vote on a renewal of a refinance of a millage. If you need any information, feel free to come by the clerk office to get the exact reading on the language. Also, please do your due diligence, register to vote, or if you haven't registered to vote, make sure that you register to vote absentee. That's a new thing that's just been voted in. You don't have to have a reason to vote absentee now. You just call and say, I want to vote absentee. We can send you a ballot, or you can come by and pick up one. That's it.
Okay. Our September Day Senior Center is going to be having a Veterans Day Luncheon, November 7th. It's Thursday. Typically about 150 people go to this. It's sponsored by the Yankee Air Museum, the Regency. They do a really nice job. Veterans Day Luncheon, November 7th at our September Day Senior Center. Excuse me, noon. Treasurer Bud.
The Van Buren Township is updating its community-wide master plan in the document that establishes a future vision for the community. And the master plan will guide decision-making processes for the future land uses. This master plan workshop is open to the public And we are asking you to drop in and share your comments with those that'll be here. It is Wednesday, October the 2nd, 2019, from 3 to 8 p.m., which is all you know is tomorrow. So come out, share your vision with the township, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Treasurer Miller, Trustee Miller.
The Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day will occur on Saturday, October 12th, from 9 to 2. This is a free one-day drop-off for Van Buren Township residents that will be located at U.S. Ecology East Parking Lot. That address is 49350 North I-94 Service Drive. You can also call 734-699-8926 for a list of acceptable items, or visit www.vanburen-mi.org.
Thank you.
What was
Trustee
the
Fra-
time, what was the time again? I'm sorry.
9 to 2.
Trustee Frazier.
Well, they saved the fun part to the last. The Candy Loop is going to be Saturday, October 26th. It's free. It's from 4 to 6 p.m. And the little ghosts and goblins in your family can come and walk a candy path and get tricks, or get treats, get treats. Get treats from local businesses. And there'll be a DJ playing Halloween music, so it'll be lots of fun. It's a great alternative to walking, having your children walk door to door. And if you feel in the mood, we would appreciate you bringing a food item like peanut butter, canned tuna, applesauce, any non-perishables. And those items will be collected and given to local food banks. And we're also looking for businesses to take part in this endeavor. And they can call 699-8921 for more information, or go to the township website at vanburen.mi.org. And this whole thing is going to take place at Quirk Park, right behind the Township Hall. And if it is inclement weather, because this is Michigan and you never know, if it is inclement weather, they will have it inside in the hallways. So come on out, bring your young people, and get lots of candy.
Okay. Last year, I believe, was indoors.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay, we're going now to the public hearing. I need a motion to go into public hearing.
Go into public
Trustee
hearing.
Frazier,
Support.
Trustee Miller, all non-debatable, all in favor of going into public hearing?
Aye.
Oppose? We're in public hearing. Right now, we're in public hearing. Public hearings are required and they're posted. The public hearing is to receive public comment. It's not a time for the board. It's a time for the public to make discussion on the budget. So, is there anybody from the public that wants to speak on the budget or any of its sections? Is there anybody from the public? Hearing none, can I get a motion to go out of public hearing?
I make a motion to come out of public hearing.
Support.
And that's, was that White?
Mine. What? Mine.
Okay. Okay, Miller and Martin. All right, all non-debatable, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We move to public comment. Is there anybody that wishes to make public comment on today's agenda? Hearing none, we're moving to new unfinished business, which we have none. We're into new business. We begin. Let me get caught up for a second here. Okay. First item is to consider approval of a 2019 Chevy Tahoe for the fire department. Chief Brow, please, for an overview.
You have a motion first.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
The chair.
Who said that? Clerk
I
Wright?
did.
No, she wants.
Treasurer Bud?
I make a motion
Yeah.
that we approve
Go ahead.
the purchase of a 2019 Chevy Tahoe to be utilized by the off-duty shift supervisor of the fire department in the amount of $46,497, and to be expensed out of the 219 capital outlay fire department account.
And Clerk Wright, I heard you second it? Okay. Chief and Marshall.
Yes, the Tahoe is going to be the supervised vehicle for the on-duty supervisor, the fifth person. The reason we went with Tahoe over the Explorer is the amount of cubic space inside the vehicle It also has a 100,000-mile warranty on the powertrain, and it comes pre-wired with the wires for some of the emergency lighting, so it doesn't void any factory warranties, so it helps with longevity of the vehicle.
Okay. Are there any questions by the board? It's in our budget. Okay, go ahead, Trustee Frazier.
To say that we are getting it through the statewide bid. It's being purchased, so we are getting the lowest price for the vehicle. It's not something that we went out and shopped for. We are getting the best price we could for our equipment.
Okay. All right, I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Clerk Wright, for the purchase of 2019 Chevy Tahoe. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is to consider approval of Resolution 2019-21, the 2020 water and sewer fee schedules. How much is your water bill going to be next year? Trustee Martin.
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2019-21, the 2020 water and sewer fee schedules.
Trustee Miller. Okay. Director Taylor, could you take it?
Yes, I'm presenting for your approval the fiscal year 2020 water and sewer rates fee schedule. And this proposed rate recommendation was reviewed and recommended to the Board of Trustees for approval. Based on our estimated projections for this fiscal year proposed budget, we recommended a 5% rate increase to our water and sewer customers. And here's some of the factors that contributed to that 5% increase. First, for every 1% rate increase, it generates approximately $80,000 in revenue. Our anticipated cost increases for fiscal year 2020 will reach approximately $630,000. The largest chunk of our increased costs are from Wayne County's Rouge Valley sanitary system, which totals over $360,000. The proposed 5% rate increase will generate approximately $400,000 for fiscal year 2020. The operational costs have been scheduled to decrease by approximately $20,000 in that same budget year. And approximately $200,000 of operational fund money will be used to supplement the gap. The fees and charges for 2020 will remain the same for the fourth consecutive year. So none of the fees or charges themselves in this package have been increased. And on a final note, which I know will make Supervisor McNamara very happy, that even with this 5% rate increase, Van Buren Township will still have the lowest water rates in western Wayne County.
Hey. I'll just begin by saying that I'm really happy with the way our water and sewer department operates. I've been around water and sewer my whole life, well, at least 30, 40 years of it. It's as good a system as there is out there, and probably better than any that I really know of. Director Taylor's did a wonderful job. I never worry about him. And when there is a problem, he quickly comes to me, and he provides me with real solutions. The increase is expected, okay, but that's good. Trustee Miller.
So, on average, in a year, how much of an increase will this be to the average homeowner? And when will this take place? When will they see it on their bill?
The rate increase will take place January 1st. It will begin January 1st, 2020. And the average increase based on the usage of 20,000 gallons in a 3-month time period, we bill quarterly. And in that quarterly period, we expect the rate to increase the average 20,000 gallon user approximately anywhere between $8.70 to about $9.25, somewhere in that ballpark for 3 months.
So are we still the lowest township for rates? Do we still hold that record?
Western Wayne County, we are, and that includes cities too. We have a comparison that we look at, and I compared what we are projecting for our rates for next year against what customers or other communities are already charging for this year. And even with our 5% rate increase, we're still at the bottom, and that's without the added increases that those communities will experience in the coming year.
It's important to say. Thank you.
Trustee Frazier.
Basically, I mean, I commend Director Taylor for an excellent job of keeping on top of what's coming down the line for water expenses, because, and keeping our water system safe and trying to get the best price we can for it. But the reason it has to go up, these are things they're not in our purview. We can't control what Wayne County does and what increases they take, and they have to pass them on to their members in their system. So we're kind of held hostage there. We have to raise the rates because of what other entities do. So it's not that we're trying to raise the rate, it's that we have to stay in line with the other entities that control the water system beyond us.
Your point, trustee Frazier, over 70%, about 73% of our expenditures on a year annually go to paying for services. So less than about 25% of our budget actually stays in the township paying for everything, which really doesn't give us a lot of wiggle room in terms of reductions because our costs internally continue to increase as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I make a comment? As I stated last year, my wife and I, we're elderly now, so we've traveled quite a bit, and we had the experiences of tasting water in the South, in the Appalachian Mountains, out west, the Midwest, and the water that comes through our faucet is some of the best water that we have ever had the opportunity to drink. And I'm very appreciative of that, and I hope that all of our residents understand what a valuable resource we have, and we should never, ever run out of water, not discounting breakage and things like that, but our water department is an outstanding water department, and our water quality, I'm very pleased that we have the water quality that we have. When I turn on my faucet, I know I can drink a glass of water, and I'll be safe, and it will taste good.
I appreciate that. In this community, my job, I take it very seriously, the quality of the water. And as a matter of fact, safety of our customers is the number one priority, above and beyond all other things, regardless of the cost or whatever, which we still attempt to control those things, but the safety of the product, because this, as I understand, this is a product, one of the few products that people actually ingest. They take it into themselves, and so it's very important that what we're producing and providing people is safe to take into themselves. So take it very seriously.
Thank you very much, Director. We all set? I have a motion by trustee Martin, and I have it supported by trustee Miller for the new water and sewer fee schedule. Hearing no further comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. I would like to take item number 3 and 4 together. This is to consider approval of the personal service agreements for Alicia Albrecht and for Ryan Nichols. Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion?
Trustee Miller? The clerk, right? I'll pick Miller on the second one and Frazier. Got them all. Okay. All right. I guess I'll give the presentation since we've already heard most of it. Alicia, could you both come up? Go to the podium over there, if you don't mind. I'll start with Alicia May Schlunt Bodine. She just got married, correct? Yes.
Albrecht.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yeah. So she's a graduate of Central Michigan. She has a Bachelor's of Applied Arts in Integrated Public Relations, Media, Technology, Production, and Design. She's creative, of course. She's worked with video and cable groups to form summer camps with the schools and to work to perform weekly intern camps with the schools. We're counting on her basically, among other things, to help us out in cable a little bit graphics and training, building community, which she sounds like she's very strong with and has built 25 or 30 people into her internship program. She'll do community building with the schools and with our community groups. These are some of the areas that she'll hopefully thrive in. She was responsible for the city meetings in Ann Arbor. She managed their uploads, their videos, and their cable. She worked also with the YMCA, and she's done TED Talks. So she's broadcast and shot those. So we're very excited to have you in the group. We had like 150 people try for this job. There was a lot of good people, and we're very happy. Ryan has a little bit different skill set, okay? More graphic arts, more video. He worked for which cruise line? Princess Cruise for a year, and where every single day he had to produce a video of what happened on that ship and have it ready for the next morning. That's high pressure and a lot of work. He's also adept at, if you remember Robert, the amazing video guy? This is Robert. He's Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Audition, Adobe Photoshop. He can clean up the photos that we use into our magazines. He can set our videos. He can perform our videos. He can make us look good. Okay.
What we want.
Yes. He graduated Western Michigan University with a bachelor's degree in film, video, and media studies with a minor in creative writing. He also does journalism. He'll, obviously we have a magazine. We have a whole slew of projects that we're ready to sick them on. Does anybody want to ask any questions?
I watched your videos, both of you, your community one, Alicia, and Ryan, your edible wow. It made me hungry. But you could see the talent that the both of you bring to our township, and I'm thrilled. And we're getting different talent in different ways from the two of you, and the combination is exactly what we're looking for. So we're excited to have you aboard, so welcome.
We're not gonna have any problem with the Bronco Chippewa robbery, are we?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Al?
I think you guys gonna make a good addition to the township.
You both. Any other questions? Trustee Frazier?
I'd just like to say, Alicia, I was impressed with your professional organizations that you belong to and that you volunteer in different groups, and you're an advocate of community media, which is an important aspect. And then Ryan, when you were in college, you watched way too many movies, I guess. And so your buddy said, why don't you make movies? So it had an impression on you. Yeah. So it became you took film and media program at Western, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's great. And I like the fact that in your resume, you said you want to help people tell their story. And we need to get Van Buren Township's story out so that our residents and our surrounding communities know what a great place Van Buren Township is to work, play, and live in. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Trustee White?
Welcome to Van Buren Township. I think this will be a very enjoyable arena for you to participate in and to work in and to produce the types of media that is expected by our community from you. My granddaughter is a video photographer for WYMT in Kalamazoo, I think it is, as the figures, and she graduated from Central Michigan also in that, probably the same year that you did. But I'm pleased to see two young, ambitious folks that are willing to come and work with us and help us out and to do what's necessary to promote our community and do a good job on board meetings and on work studies and reporting everything to our community. Thank you both very much for coming to our township, and we will love you and make sure that you're successful.
I have a motion by Trustee Miller for Alicia, and it's supported by Clerk Wright. And then I have a motion by Trustee Miller, supported by Trustee Frazier for Ryan Nichols. Hearing no further comments, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome. Come on up and shake our hands. So start right down there and move your way through. It's a long time. Yeah. Remember back on this happy time. Welcome. Thank you.
This is my
Look
good
forward
side.
to it.
No.
You may not have much to
Welcome.
work with, but try to look, have us look better than we do. Okay.
Thank you. Well, yeah, you can stay. Whatever you want to do. Okay.
Have to.
Next item is to consider approval of the selection of master maintenance for the painting and flooring renovations at the Belleville Area Museum. Director Best.
Through the chair,
Treasurer Bud.
I make a motion, we approve the selection of master maintenance for the painting and flooring renovations at the Belleville Area Museum.
Support.
Treasurer Miller. All right. Director Best, please.
On August 13th, 2019, Van Buren Township went out for quotations to find a firm to complete painting and flooring at the Belleville Area Museum. As we move forward, both with our communications department and our full-time firefighters, it's also important for us not to forget the past. The Belleville Area Museum at Old Van Buren Township Hall is the place where we remember our past. And so it's time, now that we're upgrading the future, it's time to upgrade our past. So we have went out and gotten a quote for new floor and quote for painting at the BAM Museum. After careful review and consideration of the proposals, the Department of Public Services is recommending master maintenance to provide the choice, as a provider of choice for the project at a base bid cost of $32,984. This will be paid out of the Building and Grounds capital outlay, and this expense was budgeted in the budget for the museum. The scope of work includes painting on the first and second floors, as well as new flooring throughout the first and second floors, except for in the area where there's existing hardwood floor upstairs. Working with the Department of Public Services and Museum Director Dallos, we will coordinate with the township's interior designer to pick a color and a floor pattern. We will make sure that it will enhance the architectural and historical aspects of the museum and really bring out the luxury that the existing hardwood upstairs can provide. If after today, if the board approves the bid, week of October 13th, I believe it's the 13th, the painting and flooring will begin and will end by the 26th. Currently, right now, we have a company inventorying and packing the museum up so that everything will have an inventory and everything will be ready to go and then put back when it's done. With that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions about this exciting project.
Trustee Frazier.
I commend your efforts, and I look forward to having a new painting and new flooring in the museum. I think it'll do us a lot of good, and also I just want to make sure that the public knows that when they are making this major change, the museum will have to be closed. Correct?
The museum will be closed. You'll have to check with Director Dallas the exact dates, but for sure from the 13th through the 26th, they will not be open.
And that's after the Harvest Fest, so they'll still be involved in the Harvest Fest and be able to participate in that.
That's correct.
And I hope that after we go through these renovations, that the museum will be able to be open more than 20 hours per week. We are currently, we do have a full-time director there, and so I think we need to look at expanding our hours at the museum if at all possible.
Thank
If
you.
that
Thank you.
means
That's
additional
actually
help
not
or
on the-
whatever.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Where are we? Does anybody else wish to speak on this? And the issue is the master maintenance.
Right. I'm looking at the bids here, and I'm kind of concerned about the huge difference in the two base bids. One is 78,000, one is 33,000. And could you expound on that just a wee bit, the huge difference in the bids? Because if they're both the same, they should be a little bit closer, I would think.
Well, actually, when we bid out projects like this, there's usually a large fluctuation in price. It depends on, in fact, a lot of our projects recently, we've had a lot of fluctuation in price. When we bid out a project, we highlight the goals of what the project needs to maintain, and then we let the contractors who are experts in the field tell us how they would do it and then give us a price. The difference between cross renovation and master maintenance's approach was cross renovations was they just bid higher. Their approach was exactly the same. They wanted more money for what master maintenance was providing. So it was pretty much the exact same product. In fact, I talked with Cross after the contract was after the bidding was done, and they said they just missed it. They missed the price. They bid it too high. It happens very, very frequently.
Just on that singular point, every single bid we do, after the bid is opened, we call in the bidders and do a, afterwards bid to make sure that everybody's thinking apples to apples and oranges, so we don't end up having a low bid contractor that didn't get it. Okay.
And thank you, Supervisor. And I would also like to express the opinion on the number of hours are.
That's not the issue on this, though.
I understand that, but this is
Noted.
this is a renovation, and our residents should be able to have more use for, and acknowledge the renovation and move forward with it. But we need to be open more hours.
Okay, thank you. Next, excuse me, is there anybody else? Hearing none, I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Miller. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Next item is number 6. Okay, this is consider a first reading of ordinance 1001-19 to modify the requirements of the zoning ordinance with regards to required setbacks for non-conforming single-family residential parcels that are on the lake frontage. Can I get a motion?
Through the board, I make a motion, we approve.
Trustee Frazier, you got the second.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Give me the leftovers.
Okay, Director.
Yes, as we discussed yesterday, the Planning Commission in 2017 received information from township staff regarding lakefront lots. The minimum lot width in the township currently is 70 feet. There are some legally non-conforming lots that are narrower than 70 feet, in particularly along the lake, and there's a handful of these lots.
A handful, how many is a handful?
I believe there's between 6 and 8. I have to double check again.
I thought it was 6, but okay, it's not, we got an idea.
The zoning ordinance requires a minimum width of 24 feet across the front and rear elevations of a home. And there's also side yard setbacks of at least 25 feet. For lots that are fewer than 50 feet wide, these requirements do not leave a viable building envelope. So along the lakeshore where these lots are valuable and desirable, Township Zoning Board of Appeals was receiving request after request to build on lots like this. And the Zoning Board of Appeals then asked staff to look at the concentration of narrower lots in the township, particularly on the lakefront, and whether setback requirements should be amended for these lots. The staff presented a couple of options, including creating a separate district with smaller setback, instituting a sliding scale of setbacks, and in the experience as a planner from other lakeside communities, other communities handle this many different ways. It was finally decided that the structures would be, that these lots would be given a ruling under the zoning ordinance that would allow lakefront lots smaller than 50 feet to have a proportionally smaller setback based on their size and width. And it basically reads, where the lot does not comply with the minimum required lot width, the narrowest side yard shall not be less than 5 feet or 15% of the lot width, whatever is greater, and the sum of the two side yards shall not be less than 30% of the lot. What this allows the township zoning ordinance to permit is home building on a building envelope of 50 feet, which would allow a 10-foot side yard and a 10-foot side yard, which allows 30-foot building envelope in the middle, which allows the building to be viable. There's sliding percentage on how that shifts, but this allows those 5 or 6 non-conforming lots to be buildable.
Okay.
This has passed the Township Planning Commission, and I bring it to you as the first reading. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Trustee Frazier?
I'd just like to comment that the lake owners were given an opportunity to comment on this change by the Planning Commission, and I think it's a solution that meets our needs so that the residents that own those lots do have the option to build.
Okay. Anybody else?
Supervisor?
Trustee White?
With only a 50-foot wide lot, does our ordinances allow a shotgun house on those lots? In other words, a very narrow frontage and a very deep building, for example, maybe 25 by 50 foot deep?
If it falls within the building envelope, you can build within the building envelope. So in a 50-foot lot, you can have a 35-foot wide house. Depending on how long the lot is would determine the building envelope as well as lot coverage. Lot coverage is, I think it's 30% for most of the residential districts, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to ask this question, and I'm sorry, it just came to me. It's not, is it going to be, if somebody has a 120-foot lot, and they decide that they want to subdivide their lot to create a 70 and 50-foot lot, we're not going to allow that, are we?
You have to meet the minimum lot width in order to create a lot in the township.
Okay, and these are below the minimum lot width that we
Right now,
currently have.
They're lots that already exist, they're
They-
non-conforming lots.
Okay.
And the way our rules are set up, you can't build on them. So
Okay,
we're
I'm just
creating a way
trying
for
to,
them do
I'm
that.
just thinking somebody's
can't-
gonna think there's a loophole where they can spin off 50 feet other side yard, and you're saying they can't do
They
that?
cannot do
Great, okay. Sorry, it just came to me that they could do that, but they can't. All right, is there any other questions? Okay, hearing, okay, I have Treasurer Bud, motion for approval, Trustee Frazier, seconded for a first reading of the ordinance 1001-19 to modify the requirements of the zoning ordinance to alter the required setbacks for non-conforming single-family residential zone parcels with lake frontage. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? This motion passes. Thank you. Next item is to consider approval of the selection of natural community services for tree and brush removal at French Landing Park. Trustee Martin.
Motion to approve the selection of natural community services for tree and brush removal at French Landing Park.
Support.
G. Miller. Director Best.
On August 5th, 2019, the Board of Trustees approved the French Landing Park improvements not to exceed $120,000 to be funded by Wayne County Park millage money that was been signed to us. Phase 1, the removal of unsafe playground structure, was completed at the end of August. Phase 2 is currently in progress as Russell Design is developing the master plan for the park. As you're familiar already, we developed a master plan for Quirk Park, which resulted in the fantastic new park amenities that you see today. So this is a very similar process. This next step to phase 2 is to complete the tree and brush removal at the park in order to increase visibility and safety throughout the site. The township received 3 complete bids, and after careful review and consideration of the proposal, the Department of Public Services is recommending the board approve the selection of natural community services for the French Landing Park tree and brush removal for the alternate bid price of $24,900. This expense is part of the Lake and Parks budget and comes out of the millage money. If approved today, The project will begin on Friday. Poison ivy and other areas will be sprayed. Tree removal will begin sporadically throughout the next 3 months and be completed before the end of the year. If, I'd be happy to answer any questions about the process.
Martin?
This project is going to, once again, improve another one of our township parks. I think that the renovation of French Landing Park is long overdue. The removal of this brush will allow a better view of the lake from the road and also from the park itself. You'll get a new playground, and I think it'll be once again, it's another improvement to one of our parks.
Through the chair.
Trustee Miller?
I forgot to ask this. What about the dock? I know this is about the tree removal, but where are we with that?
In terms of,
French Landing needing,
Okay, I can answer that. Okay. The dock, we performed about $19,000 worth of emergency repair on the dock during the summer. This was because it was a washout, it was dangerous, there was police tape on it. We then got the rotted wood out of there, and then we power washed and stained it. Ultimately, in 5 or 10 years, you're going to need a new dock, but you've got a few years.
yeah, and that's part of the master plan, is the dock is being the future of the dock and the fishing area is part of the master plan.
thank you.
Anybody else? Trustee
Supervisor.
Frazier, and then Trustee White.
Okay, I was really impressed by Natural Community Services and their bid. It was very detailed. They have a botanist, naturalist, and they have great credentials. And I think they'll do a super job. I just wanted to say that. And also, I think it's about time that people realize we have a park there. Because when you drive down Haggerty Road, which I live off Haggerty, you never know where French Landing Park is. And, so this'll bring the park to people that travel there. It'll be noticed, and they'll make use of it more than they have in the past, I think. But I think it's a win-win for the township.
Thank you. Trustee White.
I noticed that on the September 17th bid for the tree and brush removal bid from Natural Community Services, it's listed base bid as $47,000, but in the write-up, it's listed at $24,900.
We talked about that at the last meeting, but, oh, sorry, Director, go ahead.
Yeah, so when we first got the bids back, CHOP was the low bid. We began our process that Supervisor McNamara kind of alluded to about how we vet our bid winners as we move through. CHOP withdrew their bid after discussing what was entailed and what was involved. They withdrew their bid. We then contacted Natural Community Services and engaged in that process where we ask, here's what we understand your bid means. What do you say the bid means? And as we work through that process, we actually came to an understanding that they could do it the exact same thing we want, cheaper. And so we negotiated with Natural Community Services to reduce their price by almost half in that meeting, which was...
Give us an example of one of the things that they could do cheaper if they were allowed to adjust.
So one of the simpler things that we changed was there are areas of the park which are that are not going to be developed in the future. We know this, that they're not going to be developed. They're either in right-of-ways or they're along the shoreline. And we know there's limited potential for development there. So rather than remove those stumps, we're burying those stumps are being removed below grade, and then nature will take its course. They're going to treat them, nature will take its course. It saves us a ton of money, time, and effort. We also, along the roadway, it's the same thing. We know the areas in the road right-of-way, we're not going to be building on those areas. Now, if we do decide to do something there, like a sanitary sewer or utility, those utilities are below the areas that we'll be working in. So that saved us money. we went in the natural areas where we're reclaiming we're taking the trees and the understory down and removing the trees and taking the canopy away and exposing bare soil areas to the sunlight again. Turf grass seed does, and this is going back from one of my previous jobs, turf grass seed does not outcompete the native seed bank that's in the ground. So what we would have ended up happening, according to Natural Community Services, we would have planted turf grass there, and the turf grass would be outcompeted, and then we'd have to weed it and spray it and do it again and again and again. The process that they have, they use a native grass that will promote growth and promote beating out the weeds that we don't want, the undesirable plants that we don't want. And over a year to a year and a half period, we'll be able to transition to a more turf grass complement and mow it, and it will outcompete and win for less chemical, less cost, less maintenance. So we saved probably most of the money gets saved on leaving the stumps in place in areas that we needed to. And when we saved probably about $1,000 changing from a native seed mix from the sod or turf grass. So.
Anybody else? Hearing none, I have a motion by trustee Martin and supported by trustee Miller for the National Community Services. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Next item is to consider approval of the final design of the Township Hall electronic message sign. Can I get a motion?
Supervisor, I make a motion to consider approval of the final design of the Township Hall electronics message sign designed by Virez Environmental Graphics and Signs, known as Vegas, for the final cost of $54,090 with the expense to be paid under the Building and Grounds Capital Outlay account.
Support.
Okay, I have motion support. Director?
As trustee Frazier said, for the communications people today, it's time to get our message out to the people. One of the things that the board has asked our office to do is to get our message out onto Tyler Road and identify where we are as a township. The electronic message sign project is part of the CIP Plus projects that we've been working on and getting ready to bring to you this year and finish up. This is one of the last ones left to be completed. We had 3 companies. You've approved Vegas Sign as the winner. Their initial bid was for $29,900 and change, but that was the base bid. We then took all the comments and recommendations that we received from the trustees and talking to just comments we've heard from people, what they would want to see, and put together the following product. I'm hoping that the TVs will turn on. Perfect.
That's good.
So it's, if you notice, it is the Van Buren Township Hall sign. This would go out in the median out in front of Township Hall's main entrance. The top is to symbolize the lake and the lake community. It's a wave. And then we have the township logo, which is near and dear to our hearts. We have the purple area is the electronic message sign. We have a stone ledge, and then the address. It's lit not only at night by the lights within the sign and the lettering, but there's also ground lights that go up onto the sign to light the address at it. The LED display is a state-of-the-art LED display that we've talked about in the past.